Hello everyone, welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, and today we're going to look at the top 10 decks. I believe 9 of these got Day 1 Infinite, 1 didn't. I'll explain which one, or the one that I'm not sure about. That is the, spoiler alert, Zombie Scarlet Witch deck, which still has a really high win rate. These are decks from either players I know that Infinite, or that have an extremely high win rate from ranks 90 to 100. But before we get to those decks, if you would like to win a free season pass. If you want Zombie Scarlet Witch for free, we're giving away a full five of that brand new card this week. All you have to do is sub, like, and then leave a comment on any video you see this week. It's just that simple. We'll ask specific questions in each video, and answering those questions enables you to win one of the 5 Zombie Scarlet Witches we're giving away. Plus, that Zombie Scarlet Witch can come with a free Series 5 card. More on that toward the end of the video. First, our first deck is going to be Eeka's deck. This one has a 60% win rate in 73 games from rank 90 to 100 with a ridiculous cube rate. That means, because there's only so many ranks between 90 and 100, this deck is a Day 1 Infinite build. I only looked at stats from the season in order to pull this information. This list is one of the 3 best lists in Marvel Snap currently. I think there are 3 lists that are sort of a cut above everything. All 3 are going to be in this video. This is one of those 3 lists. This list power comes down to the card Supergiant. You do need Supergiant, and you do really want Terrax and Darkhawk to play this. Cassandra Nova could probably be several other cards. Iron Patriot could probably be several other cards. Even Alioth is semi-replaceable. Harder to replace with the Supergiant in the deck, but semi-replaceable with Galactus First Steps. If you don't have Cassandra Nova, you can try running something along the lines of a Speed or a card along those lines. Basically, the biggest 3-drop you have. And Iron Patriot can be any old good 2-drop. We're thinking things like Kate Bishop or things like Merlin and so on. Now, what this list does for you is the 2 other best decks. I'm just going to spoil what they are right now. One is End of Turn. Supergiant just straight up beats End of Turn. It is a snap condition against End of Turn that it cannot play around. There's just nothing to do for either Supergiant on turn 4 or turn 5. Cards reveal at the end of the game. That means they're not revealed at the end of the turn, and this deck absolutely feasts on that. The other best deck right now is Move, and Move can beat Supergiant. In fact, I just won an Infinite Border. We'll get to the deck sometime later this week. I won an Infinite Border last night, beating a Supergiant in Game 5. The trick is, in Conquest, you know Supergiant's coming. You know they have Supergiant, and you can play specifically to that. If you are not sure, and there's an awful lot of generic cards early in this list, if you are not sure if they have Supergiant or not, you're going to have a lot of trouble playing around it. Especially as you're suddenly drawing rocks, especially as Darkhawks are dropping for like 17 power, Cassandra Novas for like 9, 10, 11 power that are weakening your whole board, especially as Iron Patriot gives an unknown card or Quake is messing up where you can play things. This deck has a ridiculous amount of really, really frustrating plays. Its basic gist is get Prio and put rocks in the deck, right? You've got Korg and Terrax to put rocks in the deck, and you've got Hydra, Bob, Black Cat, and Lizard as your Prio cards. You really, 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 really want Prio for Supergiant, obviously. If you are struggling to win the Iron Patriot lane, Quake usually does a reasonably good job of winning that lane for you as well, while also obviously giving you amazing snap potential in certain other locations. Once you've done that, once you've set that up, you play Supergiant. At that point, you can just cold drop a Darkhawk, say, I'm going to play the biggest thing. You can drop a Negasonic if you have Prio. Your card will reveal first. Their card will reveal next. You win. You can drop a Cassandra Nova, although obviously that's a little worse. Or you can do something. If you drop that Negasonic, you can play the Black Cat, the Korg with it, as the case may be, and you have lots of different plays. But of course, you don't have to immediately play in that Supergiant lane. You can just Alioth it and win it that way. You can just Negasonic, and whatever reveals there is going to get blown up. You have a ton of plays. This is one of the class of the meta decks. Eeka is, as always, brilliant. He hasn't been cooking as much lately, but this is his one big prominent cook lately, and it is, again, one of the 3 decks that are currently defining the meta. If you own Supergiant, you should strongly consider playing this list. Again, I do think you need Terrax and Darkhawk too, and I think Alioth and Iron Patriot help but are not required, and Cassandra is helps but not required. However, Terrax, Darkhawk, Supergiant, that's 3 Series 4 cards to get into this list. You should be able to figure out a way to get into this list if you're so inclined, even if it's a budget version, not this exact one. Next up, a list I did not think we'd be seeing here. Our good friend Elephant Fudge went 19-4, a 79% win rate, and crushed the 90s to Infinite. He is Day 1 Infinite. He's around rank 15 right now, and he used a straight up classic mill deck, as I hope my cat doesn't knock over my camera. He's like an inch away from it yawning. So we might have to grab that. If it gets messed up, you'll see before I do. So, okay. He has turned around. Whew. Safe. All right. So this deck is basically powerful because no one's playing around Shang-Chi right now. Shang has all but disappeared from the meta. It's all but disappeared from top meta decks. And Shang is not great against move. It's good against move. Shang is good against is bad against end of turn, and it's bad against the supergiant thing, right? So what are we doing here? How do we win? Well, we don't necessarily use Shang for end of turn. We use Lady Deathstrike for that. Lady Deathstrike's also really good against move. Shadow King's also really good against move. While Shang gives you enough play against move, while all to be at least useful. And then of course you just have the disruption of taking their cards, of killmongering off their stuff. You'll note in that previous deck 3/1 drops. That's a lot of Killmonger fodder. Move has a lot of Killmonger fodder. End of turn has the current versions have a lot of Killmonger fodder. All of that means a really, really cheap death, an extremely powerful Lady Deathstrike, lots of hoods and Shadow Kings to win the game. It's a relatively simple deck to play in that matter. It just puts up stats and then controls your opponent. If you miss control, if you're the type of person who is playing that sort of mid-range control deck all over the place, this is a really, really good deck right now to get into. Again, this didn't exist except this is Fudge's baby. Fudge, for season after season, when Mill was bad, played nothing but Mill. He brought it back right now. It's really effective. Merlin is a must-have for this list. I think Deathstrike is too because of the end of turn stuff, but I want to focus on Merlin first. So the use of Merlin here, the use case of Merlin is Shang is terrible stats and not a guaranteed win. You've also got cards like Killmonger and even Lady Deathstrike that turning them into 1 cost up is really useful. We'd also like an extra way to get rid of Hood, and Merlin gives us 2 ways to get rid of Hood outside of Misery and Lady Deathstrike. All of these things in combination end up leaving us in a really, really powerful place at the end of the game for more power than the opponent expects, right? A free death, a Shadow King, a Shang-Chi. A free death, a Shadow King, a couple demons, and then some Merlin spells. These are very, very powerful things. For this list, I think you are going to need Lady Deathstrike right now. You are going to need Misery. Misery is one of the best cards in the game. If you don't own Misery, you probably want to. Victoria Hand has disappeared, but she never disappears for long. I also think Merlin is required. Iron Patriot is here just because you're running Gladiator and Zemo, so you should be relatively competent as far as making your Iron Patriot go off, but that can be sort of any good 2-drop. It could even be Cable if you're so inclined. Iron Patriot gives you 1 extra snap condition that I just want to shout out. I shout it out in every video where it's possible. This is the Burst combo. That's where you play Hood on turn 1 or 2. You play Iron Patriot and Demon in the Hood lane on turn 3. And then when you Misery that lane, you still have 15 power in the lane. You've likely won a lane with 15 power in turn 4, which means you have a discounted Iron Patriot card, an extra Demon, and you're going to have another Iron Patriot card that you're in the fast lane toward discounting. Really powerful stuff. You can, of course, again, use Cable though. Gladiator is required. Zemo is not. The reason Zemo got back in the list is that a lot of the other good 3-drops, your Juggernauts, your Negasonics, have been nerfed. Feel free to try a Mobius if you're seeing anything that Mobius stops. Feel free to mix and match. If you're running into a lot of end of turn, there are 2 end of turn / activate 3-drops that you can try. Ghost blew me out with an end of turn deck. My only loss with the deck the end of turn version we're gonna look at later is a Ghost deck. So like there's a lot to like about Zemo right now, but it's also like the single least important card in the deck, period. Surge, meanwhile, it can just be Zabu, it can just be Firehair. Like, feel free to mix and match with Surge as well. The key power of the deck is using demons and using your control piece and cheap death, and then being disruptive with Lady Deathstrike, or Killmonger, as the case may be. That's this list. It's really good. I'm shocked it's back, but sooner or later, a control deck always comes back. I'm happy to see it be Mill. If for nothing else, then at least our friend Fudge is happy. Before we get to the next decks, and we're going to do like 6 in a row before the next interruption. At sub, please, if you're willing to. We are doing our best to bring you the best decks ever. Snap Judgments. You get a free season pass potentially in the process. Next up, we have Cizer's Day 1 Infinite. I said a move deck would be among the top. This one's not it. I think the other move deck is better. I think Cizer's just unbelievably godly with this list. He went 19-4, 83% in the 90s, and immediately headed into rank 1. Someone I've never heard of topped him for rank 1 at this point, as Cizer basically hit Infinite and had no one else at Infinite because he hit it in like freaking no time, and then stopped playing. So, okay, good for you. This is the standard bounce move. You do want basically every card. You can replace Aranya with Doctor Strange, but outside of that, you are just going to need all these other high series cards. You cannot do without the Meta Web. You cannot do without the Sparky. You cannot do without the Sage or the Frigga or even the Toxin. They're all absolutely required cards. Sorry. This remains the hardest list in Marvel Snap to play, although it's less difficult now, as there's less Shang-Chi, there's less Cosmo, there's less Shadow King. There is still a bit of Goliath, and this version has a worse matchup into Supergiant than the other move deck. But what this deck really does is put up points and put up power. You've got a, generally speaking, stupidly huge Human Torch that you're relatively easy to Frigga. You've got a Sage that you can either Frigga or bounce or both. And then you've got like an 8 to 11-ish power Vulture, sometimes a 14 power Vulture. You've got a 14-ish power Dagger. There's just a lot of points in this list, and it's really, really hard to disrupt. This remains the hardest list in Marvel Snap to play. Again, I want to reiterate that, even if it is easier than it was before, Cizer's ridiculous stats here are because Cizer is unbelievably ridiculous with this list. Next up, we got Heart of the Cards Snap. Heart of the Cards is washed and retired on the Infinite leaderboard right now. Mr. Washed and Retired hit Day 1 Infinite, going 23 and 14 with a 61% win rate on his way there in the 90s. So Heart absolutely rocked his way all the way to Infinite by playing classic Cerebro 2. Now, if you want to play Cerebro 2, I think the high series card that you least need here is going to be Ravonna Renslayer. I don't think Ravonna is especially important here. She's nice, right? Getting the Cerebro Mystique down to 2 is handy, but it's not like a remotely important thing. Feel free to pick your different 2 of choice. Red Guardian is relatively important because we are in a largely end of turn meta. Red Guardian gives you a lot of power into that. We've also got a lot of move, so Mercury is great. And then Lasher plays for double power, which means you have 3 cards that play for at least double power between Lasher, Brood, and Mr. Sinister. All will double that 6 to double that 3 to 6, or double that 6 to 12, except Brood will triple it because there's 3 Broodlings. That makes a Storm lane easy to win. That lets you compete with anything in the game on points, and it's what makes this deck so strong, right? If you can win a lane through Storm, and then another lane is, let's just say for argument's sake, Sinister, Lasher, and any old other 2-drop, you've probably won that game. It's really strong. Again, worth playing. Nico is not required. You can run a regular 1-true. I prefer Nightcrawler if not Nico. However, what Nico offers you is the copy spell more than anything. Getting 2 power on Cerebro is nice. Nothing else, and changing locations is amazing because we only have Storm for that otherwise. But if we don't have her, we'll be okay. Like, she's very, very useful. She wins games, but the deck still works fine without her. I don't think you can do it with the Red Guardian, Mercury, or Lasher right now. I think they're what allows you to compete with the point ceiling of the meta and specific counters to the main decks. If you can win the Storm lane, relatively often you're just going to want to snap. Opponents should generally run, assuming that they have any sense of math. They're not always going to, because people are yet really, really funky about things. And if they don't, and you can tell they might have like a Negasonic or an Enchantress or whatever, keep an eye out for it. But generally speaking, this list is going to win when it wins the Storm lane. So Storm is one of your key cards here. Don't forget, if you can play Cerebro late, especially if you have Ravonna out, if you can play Cerebro Mystique late, those 2 cards without priority, because you don't have a lot of power on the board if you don't play the Cerebro Mystique, you should be able to throw priority. And then Shadow King Cerebro Mystique is utterly insane and wins an awful lot of games. As I've got a cold nose on my knee, the kitty is all over me. So as that wins games of Marvel Snap. We continue to go forward to the full Monty. I don't know if this is Ron's version, but this is 60% in 65 games. And again, in the low sample size of the 90s, that means that this is a day 1 infinite list. This one is just mean. It's running 2 different location changers in Legion and Merlin, right? It's running Valentina for extra like focused card generation. It's running Isan to pull a bunch of generated cards in, Juggernaut to steal a lane, Enchantress for ongoings, Goliath for all the other nonsense, and then just tons of power and draw. Agamotto to really like give you extra power to draw. Mockingbird because it's cheap power. This list has long been disgusting. This is the best Arishem has felt in quite a while, and we're saying that with a Darkhawk deck in the meta. This is still that good. If you see that Darkhawk deck run, really good players who are playing Darkhawk and see Arishem, do yourself a favor. Don't play your Korg. Don't play your Don't play your Korg and don't play your Terrax. I always want to say Rock Slide, excuse me. Don't play your Terrax. Let them not know that you're about to drop like a million power things on their face, because that's how you beat this list, right? If you drop the Darkhawk, it's already big enough to win basically any lane. If you drop the Cassandra, it's basically big enough to win any lane, and you get a snap equity out of it. If you don't warn them that you're running Korg and Terrax, they're not necessary. However, they can still catch you. They can generate a Shangra Shadow King. They can Enchantress off the Darkhawk. They can Eliath when you think you're going to Darkhawk even on turn 5. They can Juggernaut and leave both those cards in the same lane, or use Winds of Atum to put them in the same lane, or use Legion to give a location that ruins their day. There's a million things that this deck can do. Cosmic Ghost Rider is amazing into Darkhawk. And there's a million things that this deck can do to counter even its bad matchups. And you never know what they have, which means it gets extra cube equity. Because people go, they probably don't have it, they probably don't have it, and they stay, and that usually ends in losses. This list is, again, one of the better lists in Marvel Snap. I don't think it's quite in the top 3, but it's just one small tier down. I miss Kang in this version, but what are you going to do? Kang seems to have been a nice fad, a fun card, but has mostly disappeared. The hell? What the hell? Apparently, I didn't delete 2 from last month. We're seeing no Hela. We saw a lot of Hela in Infinite, and it's disappeared. We are seeing end of turn. This is last month's end of turn. This is not this month's end of turn. Jocasta and Prodigy have come back into end of turn, and they fundamentally forced this version away. You can see this old version. It is just now gone. All good. Next up, this is the end of turn. This is the second of the 3 lists that I think are currently in the list of the best 3 lists of Marvel Snap. I almost got an Infinity border with this yesterday, losing because I decided to aggressively stay because I was running late. And yeah, overall, I think this list is completely disgusting and insanely powerful. You've got so many combos that just are game winning. If you get Jocasta and you can Prodigy Jocasta with either Invisible Woman or Fantasticar, for the love of God, snap, you're putting up like 30 power in every lane. If you get Jocasta, Prodigy, Invisible Woman, and Fantasticar, which happens, even just a Sunspot and Athena, or just a Sunspot or Bruce, if you happen to have Marvel Boy out, God forbid, you're going to get 30 to 60 power in every lane and feel completely unbeatable. This list is weak to Killmonger. You've seen a lot of Killmonger. This week, Kenny list to Cosmic Ghost Rider. This list is insanely weak to Supergiant, but it can compete with even move on points. It is absurdly strong, one of the better lists I've played in a long time. Remember, your goal is to play Jocasta as your priority on turn 3. If not, you'll play Invisible Woman for steps, and then you'll either play Fantasticar so that you can Prodigy the Jocasta or Invisible Woman, or you'll play a 1 and immediately play Prodigy. Once you've done that, the game is over. Fair warning, you can still Invisible Woman or Fantasticar or even Prodigy on the last turn if Jocasta is one of the other cards out, because when you activate her, she will hit that extra activate on the Prodigy, Invisible Woman, Fantasticar. And if that Prodigy is copying Jocasta, you're really, really cooking with gas. You will run out of energy on Havoc after like 6 triggers. That's still an 19 power Havoc. Your Sunspot and your Athena are regularly in the 30s in this list. You've got your Bruce, when you're triggering it a million times, almost always triggers. Your Marvel Boy 10 times, that's plus 10 to all of your 1-drops. And you got Spider-Ham as Disruption, your only real Disruption. This is a pure points list. This has been what I've climbed with. I'm like rank 87. I played the deck I got the Infinite Porter with, and this so far, and I'm at rank 87. I played for like 25 minutes. These lists are stupid. They're crazy points. This one is a 61% win rate, and I could easily see it edging higher. People aren't going to directly counter it. The second someone counters you, the second someone snaps you, just run. If they can't counter you, you auto win. So many of these games. Next up, we got Merit, and this is the other list that I think is one of the best. This is one card off the Cizer list. We're going to credit Merit for it. Cizer runs I don't remember over what. I wish I did. He runs Vulture in his. He is experimenting with Juggernaut over Eliath as well, but this is the other of the best lists in Marvel Snap. I think that this list is completely disgusting, can beat anything. It puts up an absurd amount of power. Craven and Dagger are stupid power cards, along with just the sheer, like, Hellions at 8, Cloak is a 4, Heimdall's a 10. Craven ends up like nearly as big as Dagger. You just end up with a ton of points to go with your stupidly, stupidly big Human Torch. However, there's still the games you don't draw an early Human Torch, right? If you don't draw an early Human Torch, the Jocasta deck can go over the top of you. If you don't draw an early Human Torch or you don't plan especially well, the Supergiant deck can beat you. I think this deck is probably the single best deck in the game, but the Supergiant deck has better stats. This is still a day one infinite. This is still a deck that I think you will hit infinite with. One of the beautiful things about being from the 70 to 100 range is that you're not going to see the same deck over and over again, even if this one deck is the best. You're going to see a variety of stuff, especially with 5 new cards coming up. And if you play any of the Supergiant list, the move list, or the end of turn list, you should be able to farm most opponents because you're playing a deck that's in a different class than those other ones. Juggernaut is often Goliath in this list, fair warning. Hellion gives you a level of consistency that this list really wants. Because you want Cloak or Hellion on the right on turn 5. Sometimes you're not going to be able to get out that Cloak, so you have Hellion. Sometimes you're able to that Hellion, you have Cloak, it's fine. You'll Cloak and Cosmo reasonably often, and then you'll move the Cosmo and the Craven into the Cloak, and you'll be fine. All that good stuff. I think you do need Sparky, and Aranya can be Iron Fist. It's worse, but it's fine. You do, however, need Sparky here. You do, however, need Madam Web. Outside of that, I think you can fairly often mix and match here. Like, Hellion's great, right? But do you need Hellion? Throw Vulture in that spot and you'll be okay. I wouldn't play this list without Madam Web and Sparky, but I do think that you can mix and match to sort of play this list otherwise, and I think it's still the best list. 74% win rate, 43 and 15 on its way to infinite is absurdly good. We're almost done, but hey, I should be live a little bit after this video goes live at twitch.tv/pulseglazer. I'll also try to be live right here on YouTube. Please do check it out. If you want music and extra like gambas and stuff, make sure you're on Twitch. If you just want to hang out, stop by the YouTube. Our season pass question is very simple. What are you climbing with this season? I'm trying to just use the good decks and make it fast. So I've been using a lot of end of turn and a lot of move. I'm still playing the move tribunal because I think it's more fun. But yeah, what are you climbing with? What's your plan? All right, let's talk new cards. So Colonel America, the new card that came out yesterday, 3/3 ongoing. Each of your other cards here has +1 power for each turn you've discarded a card. And Zombie Power Man, the 2/4 end of turn. If you're winning here, discard the leftmost card from your hand. Turns out Zombie Power Man does not want to be in Hella lists. They both want to be in the nice, simple, very easy to spot classic discard list. This used to be called Discard Dracula, but at least as of now, the best version of this, 76% in 38 games, cuts Dracula. The reason being, because you have so many cheap plays, Dracula often ends up in the far left spot. In this version of the list, the only card that should end up in the far left spot before you can do anything about it really is MODOK. Because you're not going to play Zombie Power Man over Morbius. You're not going to play Zombie Power Man over Colonel America. And you will play Zombie Power Man to discard like a Blade or a Corvus without worrying about it too much. So you do have that like level of power, that level of control. This list puts up stupid power. Colonel America is crazy, crazy power. He takes a little lane of a couple swarms and like I was running Meek in my version. Zombie Power Man, Colonel America, a swarm and like a Lady Sif, and says that lane's like in the mid 20s to 30 of power, which means that they also have to beat the giant Apocalypse you're gonna drop on their head, or the big old Khonshu that's gonna make 2 12 power things on their head, and like you could still have like a 12 to Morbius was basically always at least 10 power in this list. It's gross. There's a ton of power here. If you just want points, this is it. Of all the new things that we're seeing, this is the one that's most likely to create a new meta deck. A lot of the things that counter, however, end of turn also counter this. So, like, this doesn't want to see a super giant, right? Move can still go over the top. That kind of thing is still going to be a problem here, but there's enough points here that you still might just be able to win. 76% win rate in 38 games. This is the best new deck that came out of the new cards that released. I have almost no doubt. Headpool, meanwhile, the card you can get in the Season Pass Premium, when it is destroyed in your hand, give all cards in your hand +1 power. 100% goes in the Classic Destroy list. We cut Agony. I'm not sure if Agony, Moira, or even Nico is the right cut here, but it's definitely not Deadpool or X23. Maybe it's Wolverine. It might just be like, what am I doing with Wolverine? I don't know if I care enough about Wolverine for him to be here. But yeah, at the end of the day, Headpool is great. You want to play Deadpool first, then Headpool. That'll give the Deadpool the extra 1 power for the next time he's destroyed. But outside of that, like Headpool is just seemingly a classic destroyed card. We'll see what happens as we experiment more going down the line. This is the exact list that Den had on day one. This is the exact list that we featured yesterday. It's not brain surgery. It's not complicated. This is one of, if not the best lists around right now. It's important to note that this is the highlight of Destroy. Destroy is going to very likely lose to is very likely going to beat the Supergiant list unless they mess up somewhere. But it is also very, very likely to lose to end of turn. It's very likely to lose to move. That's fine. It should beat almost everything else. The list is utterly disgusting as far as points go. Discard and destroy are having their they're in their shit right now. They're having their heyday. They're amazing. You probably know how to play this list, but if you don't, it's basically make Deadpool big if possible, drop big null death, and if you can use X23, drop big null death and a big Deadpool too. That's kind of it. Moira gives you some extra play because sometimes you end up with an extra Venom, sometimes you end up with an extra Deadpool or Death, and you just sort of go off. Or really, what's nice is when you only have one Destroyer and it gives you an extra like Carnage or an extra Deathlock or something. It's a really, really strong list. I don't know what else to say. It is very worth playing right now. I'm not a Destroy fan. I never have been. However, this version of Destroy has proven to be a real powerful list. Finally, we got the Zombo Scarlo. Zombie Scarlet Witch is the season pass card. After you play a card here, Horde +2. I have no idea if this day wouldn't infinite it. The stats and play rate are just low enough that I'm not sure. A note: if you're buying the season pass card and not trying to win it for me, buy it from the web shop and you get a free Series 5 snap pack out of the deal, along with an Arnhem Zola variant. If you're interested in that free Series 5, make sure you buy it on the web shop, marvelsnap.com. Hit the shop. All right, this one has a 59% win rate in 63 games. Okay. That's probably day one infinite, but I can't guarantee it, right? That's just low enough with I didn't write the Q rate, but it's not that high to be uncertain. Zombie Scarlet Witch isn't ready yet, right? In this list, you're using the extra zombies to make your Mockingbird one cheaper. You've got a decent sized zombie because you have Kitty Pryde. You can do the Angela into Zombie Scarlet Witch, into Elsa into Kitty. And then you're just going to get reasonably big, and then you can go like Mysterio and Kitty and something else, and you like sort of go to town, making yourself a decent sized Zombie Scarlet, which is like a 3/8 3/10. It's nice, fine. Well, you'll take a 3/8 3/10 basically all the time, right? And that especially because that makes your Mockingbird cheaper, and as you go off, you make your Sasquatch cheaper, and then you're really just sort of like cooking with gas. That's the basic gist of it. This list needs more cards. It needs Zombie Mr. Fantastic pretty badly over probably Captain America, Sam Wilson, but it could be Surge, maybe even Kate. I don't know. This one maybe it's Angela. I don't know what the hell. I don't like Angela, but whatever. This list is doing well enough right now. The card is thus far for me what I expected. Not very good, but it's also not terrible. It feels like I keep beating it when I play it. But I'm also playing decks that are better than it, right? However, that the season pass card has a clear point ceiling and that there's so many decks right now that don't have that clear point ceiling means I think this is a miss. However, we are spending the month basically getting more support for this card, so I'm drawing no immediate conclusions. I'm just noting that this is a fine thing to do if you're so inclined. Just don't be surprised, even when you do the thing, if another deck puts up 30 more points than you in given lane. Zombie Giant Man has 0 good decks. He is a specific Horde card. We only have one other Horde card. That 2-card combo is really hard to use because one's one's mid game, one's late game. There's no early game play for it. There's no early game scaling for it, which means Zombie Giant Man has been bad. There is no current good Zombie Giant Man deck. We will see in a week when Mr. Fantastic comes out, and then later in the same week, I believe we get I don't know, either the Horde or Adam Warlock. So we should be cooking then. But for the time being, Zombie Giant Man is a whiff. That's it. That's the video. Hopefully you found a deck that you will play to infinite here. Please do check out our Patreon if you do and you're so inclined. Patreon.com/snapjudgments, where different tiers of support offer you different things, including on-air thanks in every video. Thank you to Jonesy Snap 22, Abigail Geeson, Mandatory Burnout, It Regardless, LAB, Inc., I Am Frostman, Hota Navarrete, Primed Ryan, Orion Burke, Orion Wood, Snap, Ren Wrench, Gopher Kev, Keltor, Kirtix Lee, Koire, Kazushi, Archangel, 3K, Black Dahlia, Parafrost, The Goat Seeker Code, Hollowed Synth, Radic, Absolute Shen, Turtay, Casual, Dark Mool, Mr. Kerfuffle, Cables, Ginger Prime, Philly, Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone, The Bizza, Black Cheapest 23, XFC, and Skippy G, Jessica Gamble, Celeste, The King of Bros, The Great Kazoo, Werewolf, Kevsey Hoda, Clam, Colonel Foreman, Rob Silverman, David, what the hell, James? David G, Wingfield, Moo, Steven, Brian Kaufman, Tristan H. Martin, Jason B, Matt V, Rayshon Smith, Charles Washington, Chucky, Corwin, John Q, and Jimmy Q, E Stout, One Big Man, Cactus, Jack Reed, Steve O, 131, Yo Marco, Ted Brown, Cooper Joe, Snapchat Joe, Pickety Boom Bop, Bricks Do Click, Green Goblin, Flan 56, Spectrumix, Hoot, Only Fox, Matt H, DJ, Mikey, Hijinks, Don't Frickin' Flex, Nick, the Greek Geek, Sleepy, Toxie, Toxic Soul King, Sodrick74, the King of Canada, JJ, Demna Falcon, Fother Newman, Two Ties, the Great Lord, I was the Pirate King Tucker, and of course, Gunny T, where the T stands for. Thank you so much for joining us for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back tomorrow with some of the best decks for the new cards as the meta develops. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss out on getting the best decks. Peace.